Story recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a post-apocalyptic drama film called The Road. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. A mysterious cataclysmic event has killed off almost all of the animals and crops on Earth. Most of the structures of civilization have collapsed, and people have now resorted to extreme measures to survive. A man and his young son, whose names are unknown, must make their way through the crumbling cities to scavenge for food and supplies while avoiding cannibalistic gangs. While traveling through desolate roads, the man recalls how the catastrophe affected the world and its remaining population. When the disaster struck, the clock stopped at 1:17 and there was a flash of bright light, followed by mild quakes. He seemed to have given up on keeping track of the dates, and he can only guess that it's already October. The man surmises that all the trees will soon fall as the world gets darker and colder. He has observed that most people on the roads are refugees carrying their carts and armed gangs scavenging for food and fuel. He remembers that in just a year after the cataclysm, wildfires occurred followed by deranged chanting. Some of the people have now turned to cannibalism. Apart from hunger, cannibalism has become one of his worst fears. He tells his son stories of courage and justice to help him stay alive. As they search for supplies on an abandoned farm, the boy sees some hanged corpses. The father explained to him those were the remains of people who had taken their own lives. The man later shows his boy a revolver loaded with 2 bullets. He tells the boy that those 2 bullets are for both of them. He then demonstrates to the boy how to use the gun on himself. In a flashback, the man's wife relaxes by the piano while preparing something to eat. After taking a few bites, she was suddenly startled when she sees her water breaking. She hesitates to give birth, believing that the child would only suffer due to the world's dangerous conditions. Her husband ignores her objections and tells her to keep pushing until she starts giving birth. She screams as she pushes the infant out of her womb. While resting in a car, the man was suddenly jolted awake by the sound of engines approaching. The man and the boy quickly hide in the woods as a gang of armed men arrives, but they were soon discovered by a gang member taking a leak nearby. The man threatens to shoot the gang member if he calls out for his friends. However, a sudden noise from a truck distracts the man, allowing the gang member to grab the child. The man shoots the gang member in the head, carries away his unconscious son, and hides deep into the woods until the following day. When they went back for their belongings, the man noticed what appears to be vital organs and the severed head of the gang member that he killed. In another flashback, the wife points out to the man that they only have 2 bullets left. She regrets that she had not taken her own life when they had more ammunition. She fears that the cannibalistic gangs will eventually catch them and abuse them before they get killed and eaten. The wife tells the man that she should stop listening to him and just go ahead and shoot herself. The man pleads with his wife to stop thinking about giving up, but she doesn't want to keep living just to survive. The wife stressed that she wants to take their son with her, noting that other families have done the same. She walks away from the man and proceeds to give the boy a bath. As the man and the boy get back on the road, he advises his son to steer clear of bad guys. He warns the boy that there are not many good guys left. The father tells his son to keep carrying the fire with him and assures him that they are still the good guys despite what happened with the gang member. During a rest stop, the boy tells his father that he wishes he's still with his mother. The father then asks the boy whether he wishes that he was also dead. When the boy said yes, he told him that they should stop thinking about his mother. While the boy slept, the man went to a bridge to throw away his wallet containing a picture of his wife. While attempting to get rid of his wedding ring, the man recalls how he begged his wife to stay with him. Despite his pleas, the wife was determined to leave and even refused to say goodbye to their son. She just asked the man to keep the boy warm and head south. She walks out of the house, leaving her husband and child behind. The man recalls that his wife died in the darkness. The man and the boys started heading south to find a more suitable place to live. They come across a large house on the way, so they decide to check it out after seeing that it's empty. While investigating the kitchen, the man sees a padlocked door on the kitchen floor. He goes out to find an axe and uses it to break the lock. They both go down to the cellar to find starving and mutilated people begging for help. When they start running away, a man goes after them. They manage to get upstairs and block the door with a table. As soon as they try to leave the house, they see the occupants arriving. They hide in the bathroom while the residents enter the house. The father urges his son to take the gun, but the boy refuses. When he hears one of the occupants approaching, he points the gun to his son's head to keep the boy from ending up like the people in the cellar. All of a sudden, the occupants hear loud banging sounds coming from the kitchen floor. As the occupants run to investigate, the father and son make their escape through the window. They hide from the occupants until it gets dark. As the boy slept, the man hears screams coming from the place. He tries to cover up the boy's ears to keep him from hearing the horrible sounds. When he stops hearing any noise, he wakes the boy up and they quickly leave. The father and son make another stop to eat the remaining piece of food they have left. After eating the last bug, the boy asks assurance from his father that they'd never eat a human being no matter how hungry they are. The man points out that they're already starving at the moment and they still wouldn't eat anybody. Feeling satisfied by his father's response, the boy affirms that they're the good guys because they're carrying the fire. The two get back on the road and stop by the house where the man grew up. He recalls the Christmas holidays he spent in the house, but the boy discourages him from reliving those moments in his head. While waiting outside the house, the boy sees another boy in a building across the street. The other child runs away as soon as the boy sees him. The boy runs after the child, but the man stops him. They continue their journey with the boy, disappointing that he didn't get to see the other child. The man tries to console his son, noting that the boy wants to see other children when they arrive at the coast. He told the boy that once he had friends of his own, but they are all gone. The pair had begun to starve after running out of food. The boy asks his father if they'll die all of a sudden. The man explains that it will take a while before they die of starvation. The man feels that he is slowly dying, so he tries his best to prepare his son to survive on his own. While resting at an empty house, the man finds a piano. As he removes the cover, he starts to cry as he remembers how his wife played the instrument. He plays a few notes and tells the boy that his mother played the piano very well. The child says he doesn't remember it at all. The father and son decide to leave after finding nothing else inside. However, fortune had struck when the man discovers a hatch while walking through the backyard. When they went down to investigate, they saw that the bunker is filled with food that could keep them well fed for years. They stay in the bunker and make it their home, but they were soon forced to leave it after hearing strange noises above. The boy thought the noise came from a dog. The man concludes that the bunker will soon be discovered and it will no longer be safe for them. They loaded whatever they can into a cart and continued heading south. As they make their way to the coast, they see an older man walking ahead of them. Realizing that the older man poses no threat, the boy asks the man to give him some food. The boy hands him a can of food and watches him eat. The father insisted that the older man cannot come with them, but he invited the older man for dinner. The older man reveals that his name is Ellie as they continue their journey. After having dinner, Ellie and the man started talking about the boy. Ellie thought that he had seen an angel when he first laid eyes on the child. He reveals that he once had a child of his own and never thought he'd ever see a child again. When the man asks Ellie what happened to his own son, the older man refused to talk about it. Later on, Ellie explained to the man that he always expected a catastrophe to happen. He had seen the warning signs, but he contended that there was nothing he could do to prepare for it. When the man asked if he ever wanted to die, Ellie said that dying is a luxury that he could no longer afford to ask for in these dangerous times. The next day, the boy is still trying to convince the father to help Ellie as they go their separate ways. The man insists that they've done enough for him and suggests that the boy would have more time to think about their own situation when they run out of food. The boy reminded his father of his advice to watch out for the bad guys, then points out that Ellie clearly wasn't bad. The two decide to stash away their cart in the woods to check out some huts nearby. As they come close to the houses, the man sees a collection of skulls on the ground. When they turn back, they witness a woman and the child being chased by a group of cannibals. The woman drops to the ground and gets caught. They hear the woman scream as they run deep into the woods to escape from the gang. A strong earthquake occurs as they run through the forest, causing some large trees to fall. They take cover behind one of the fallen trees to avoid being hit by the others. The man's health has been slowly deteriorating, but they keep moving toward the coast despite his condition. They soon arrive at the beach, but the boy's excitement quickly turned into disappointment when they see its shore's filthy condition. The man sees a shipwreck close to the beach, so he swims toward it, hoping to find some supplies. He leaves his son to look out for their things, but the boy soon falls asleep. As the boy slept, a man with a knife walks towards their tent. The boy wakes up to find that all their belongings are gone. The man gets back to the shore with a flare gun he took from the shipwreck. The man quickly chases after the thief, carrying and dragging the boy along with him. When they catch up to the thief, the man threatens to shoot him. The thief refuses to give the cart, but he quickly changes his mind after hearing the boy begging his father not to kill him. The man asks the thief to throw his clothes and shoes on the cart and leaves him naked on the road. On their way back to the beach, the boy convinces his father to go back and help the thief. When they get back, the thief is gone, so they leave his clothes and a can of food on the ground. The father and son continue on their journey and they soon arrive at a ravaged street. The boy sees a can with a bug inside and becomes fascinated with it. He shows it to his father just before the bug flies away. As they watch the bug fly, an arrow shoots past them. They quickly take cover, but the man gets hit in the leg. Before the archer shot another arrow at them, the man shoots a flare gun through the window, where the projectile came from. The man staggers to get inside the building to see who shot the arrows. When he opened the room, he finds a woman weeping over a man hit by his flare gun. The man asks the woman why they were following him, but the woman insisted that the man and his son were the ones who were following them. The man leaves the woman and tends to his wounds before they continue heading south. As the man's health continues to deteriorate, he decides to leave their belongings behind and set up camp on the beach. In his sleep, the man dreams about being with his wife. When he realizes that he will die soon, he tells his son to continue going south on his own. The man advises his son to always keep the gun with him and never let anyone take it from him. The son tells his father that he wants to go with him, but the man insisted that he must keep living and find the good guys. After covering his father with the blanket, the boy takes the gun and puts it in his pocket. He walks along the shore and sees a stranger approaching him. He takes out the gun and points it towards the stranger as the man gets closer. The stranger asks the boy about his father and tells the child to come with him. He convinces the boy to put the pistol down and explains the choices that he has to make. The stranger tells the boy that he can either join him or stay on the beach with his father. He tells the boy to stay off the road if he decides to go on his own. The boy asks for assurance that the stranger is one of the good guys, but the man says he can only take a chance. The stranger further reveals that he has 2 children with him, a boy and a girl. He assures the boy that he doesn't eat people. The boy asks the stranger if he's carrying the fire. The stranger didn't know how to reply, but he eventually said yes when the boy pressed him for a response. After being convinced by how the stranger answered his questions, the boy asked if he can go with him. He says one last goodbye to his father and walks towards the stranger, who is now joined by a woman and 2 children. The woman explained that they have been following him and his father for a while. She says that she has been worried about him, but they no longer have to worry about anything now that they're together. The boy takes a look at the other children and notices a dog with them. Feeling reassured that he is in good hands, the boy agrees to join them.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.